Hello. I'm here today to teach you how to think more critically and write more critically. It's not just about how to do better for this module, but it's also a life skill that I hope that you can acquire for yourself, and maybe you use it for other modules. Yeah? And well, just be in general a better critical thinker in life. All right. Why am I doing this video? Because many of you have seen the results and the feedback for CP1 and for the forums. And I'm very happy that some of you are asking, oh, how can I do better? How can I think better? And some of you feel very lost because like, oh, I already tried my best, so how come I can't get a better grade? So let me teach and explain to you, alright? But first and foremost, if you haven't read the examiner's report for CP1 and for the forums, please go and read it, okay? Because we put in a lot of very insightful things for you to consider, okay? Let me start by saying this. In the mid-course survey, a lot of students said writing is very, very painful. And I agree, writing is painful. Throughout my whole undergrad years, in the 4 years of my undergrad journey, nobody told me why writing was painful. And left to my own devices, I thought I was actually a very, very bad student, okay? In fact, I was so demoralized that by the end of my 4th year, I told myself, yeah, I think I'm not cut out for academic life. So after graduation, I didn't pursue further studies. I just went out to work. In the years after I went out to work, I soon discovered that many established writers, whether you're a fiction writer or established non-fiction writer, over the course of the years, I've had the chance to talk to these kind of people, and even professors, even the old professors. I decided to ask them, has writing become less painful for you? The answer is no. For every single person that I've met, whether the person is an established writer or an established academic, very old also, right? They all tell me writing is always painful. Writing never becomes easier. I mean, okay lah, if you do the writing that's for fun, then of course it's enjoyable, you don't feel the pain. But when you start to do academic writing, okay, even the professors will tell you, very senior professors will tell you that writing is painful. Why is it painful? That is the question that we must answer first before we can have a better, matured understanding of why it is so difficult to write for university, right? We need to understand that the pain we experience in writing, that mental anguish and that headache that we get, is a kind of a growing pain. Because you see, it's very easy for me to open my mouth and just go blah 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 blah. Words just leave my lips without much thought. But when you write, whether on paper or you type on the screen, right, you are committing an idea. You are committing that word onto paper or onto your screen. That commitment, once you write it down, right, what happens? You look at what you wrote, and you are forced to re-examine over and over and over and over. And then you are forced to ask yourself, is this what I really, really want to say? Is this what I really think? You see? So why is writing painful? Because it is a process where we are constantly questioning ourselves, constantly critiquing ourselves. Yeah? And that is the process by which we grow and mature. For whatever reason, maybe because our education system made learning so painful, we have grown to hate writing. But writing is the one exercise, it is the only exercise that actually helps to improve your mind. Yeah, without the need of a tutor or some other person. You're constantly self-reflecting, you're constantly self-evaluating. Do I really want to say this? Can I say it better? Right? So that is a growing pain. And I wish somebody had told me earlier that writing is always painful, no matter how good you are, right? So let me assure you, just because you feel you struggle with writing does not mean you're bad, okay? Everybody experiences it, even the top researchers, the top academics, all right? Even the best fictional and non-fictional writers struggle, okay? No such thing as I'm good means I don't struggle, yeah? It's only because we struggle that we become better, right? Motivational speaker. Okay, no lah. But that's what it is. So rather than trying to run away from it, I do encourage you to have a matured response to it. Recognize the power of writing, and actually don't run away from it. Embrace the growing pain, and then you become a more matured person. In my 4 years in university, every essay I wrote changes me. Right? So if you take the writing exercise seriously, then it is a transformative exercise. You graduate a better person, a matured person. Yeah. So that's why I instill the pre-tutorial activities and the post-tutorial activities, so that we undergo multiple exercises in thinking, in self-critiquing. Now, of course, the question is, how can I do better? If you say, oh, I keep looking at the things I wrote and it looks very critical to me, then it is a sign that you are not critical. So it's very ironic, right? It has the same irony as a person saying, oh, I'm very humble, Yeah, It is ironic. Why? So if you look at it and you say that it is critical, is very critical, or is critical enough, it means that you have what is known as bias. You have a certain blind spot that prevents you from seeing how you are wrong. A critical person will always look at his or her work and always find flaws in it. Of course, I'm not asking you to become super obsessive, and everything is always flawed and wrong. But you must, the key to being a good critical thinker is to accept, is to recognize the flaws, fix those that you can, and then say, okay, the ones that I cannot do anything about, this is the best I can do, and it's still good enough. That is how to be a matured thinker, how to be a good critical thinker. Yeah, we have to say, okay, this is what we can do, and well, that is the limitation of my solution. That's it. Okay. Now, so with regards to the group projects and all the writing exercises for this module, and all the other modules that you have in university and later on in life, how do you become a critical thinker? So let me explain first and foremost the word justification, because I realize many students don't realize the meaning of justification. Justification doesn't mean that you are explaining. You see, when you explain, you're actually using a different part of your brain when you're justifying and explaining. Two different parts of the. I mean, it's not a left brain or right brain. I'm not a neuroscientist, so I can't tell you where. But it goes through a different mental exercise. When you are explaining, you assume the conclusion to be true. So all you're doing is telling me more about the conclusion or the things relevant to the conclusion. When you are justifying, another way perhaps to say it is when you're trying to convince me, or in proper philosophy terms, you're arguing, right? You're trying to do. You're trying to prove to the person that you are correct. Or Singaporeans nowadays like to say correct, right? So justification means proving to the other person that you are right, that they too should believe in you using sound logical arguments, not emotive arguments, but sound reasoning. Why is this valuable? Because you go out to work, just like the group projects, you don't have the answer, I don't have the answer, nobody knows the answer. So what is the correct answer? The correct answer is the one that you have successfully convinced yourself and other people around you that is the correct answer. No choice, right? If nobody knows what's the answer, then that is the best we can do, right? And then we just hope that we are doing the right thing. Yeah. When you are justifying, the aim is to demonstrate and prove to the reader or anyone else that you are correct. Now, how do we do this? The not so good way is to just say, this is the point, accept it, right? As an educator, why, or as a philosopher, why am I worried when you present an argument like that? Blah 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 blah. Therefore, it's correct. What's wrong with that? Well, first and foremost, there's the concern of confirmation bias, right? Just because you found all this evidence that points to this thing, does it really mean that it's true? In one of the examiner's report, I talked about this, but let me just repeat it for your benefit. Lately it's been raining a lot, right? Wow, very heavy rain. Now, let's use that. That is evidence that can confirm three possible hypotheses, right? First hypothesis is climate change. It's raining so heavily, therefore climate change, right? Second possible hypothesis is, maybe it's just one of those freak storms, 1 in 100 years. Government always like to say, 1 in 100 years freak storm. Okay, maybe it is. Third possibility is, it's raining so heavily because the Illuminati has a weather machine and they're going to use it for world domination. Now, notice how that one piece of evidence can prove three different hypotheses, right? In which case, when you make an argument, okay, and when you're trying to justify something, how do I know that you're just proving to me the first thing that you found? Or have you actually looked at other possibilities? So to be a good critical thinker, you need to demonstrate that you have examined other possibilities and ruled them out. So you say, okay, climate change, once in 100 years freak storm, and Illuminati, weather machine, right? Same evidence can prove all three. So how do I eliminate some of them, right? Or how do I at least show that this one or one of these hypotheses is the more correct one or more correct one, right? Yeah. So that is the concern, all right? So then there are other things to think about, because if you are so sure, okay. So as an examiner, as a philosopher, I'm also worried about things when you say, okay, I believe that this is the case. Here's all the evidence for it. How do you prove that you didn't succumb to confirmation bias? That means you already know what you want. You already believe in a certain point, and so you are just cherry picking your evidence. Okay. So you need to demonstrate to me that you did not cherry pick your evidence. So how do you demonstrate that you didn't cherry pick your evidence? Well, one easy way is to try to demonstrate how your position could be wrong. If you try to attack your position and your position still stands, then okay, very good. But of course, don't do it by giving me the extreme example, the extreme opposite that appears so ridiculously stupid lah, right? Because that is what we call straw man argument, straw man fallacy. You know what's a straw man? You take straw, not the drinking straw, that one kena ban already, right? You know the hay, that kind of straw. Then you make the thing to scare crows away, right? The scarecrow, straw man is a scarecrow, right? So you put that. It's not a real human being, it can't attack you, so it's very easy for you to the straw man down, right? So if you choose an unworthy opponent like a straw man, then your case is not convincing. You need to find a worthy opponent. You need to show me an opponent that is perhaps just as strong, some attack against your position that is really strong, and show me how your position still stands despite it. Sometimes you might be forced, like if you get a really strong opponent, right, then you might be forced to concede, okay, there is some merit to this position, so let me arrive at let me reconcile the point that I agree with. You don't have to say, oh, black and white, I am right, this is wrong. No, sometimes it can be the case that you are 70% correct, 30% wrong. This position here, maybe you disagree largely, but 10% is correct. So how do we reconcile that 10% with your 70%? And what do we do with everything else? Yeah, you notice it didn't add up to 100, right? So what then do we do with all the things that we think is wrong? Maybe through that opponent, we now know that this 20%, there's something wrong with it, but none of us are right about that 20%. Okay, fair enough. Then we can admit to it, and then we explore other possibilities, right? So let me just recap a few methods, right? One method is to explore other possibilities and demolish those possibilities, okay? The other way is to have a strong opponent, a strong attack against your position, and demonstrate how your position still stands. Sometimes I'll say this, in my years of writing papers, sometimes I come up with the super strong argument against my position. It's so strong, it's so convincing, I myself also have become convinced, right? So in philosophy, we say, if you have become convinced by the opponent's logic, then no choice, you have to go where the logic leads you, where the reasoning leads you. It's a very, if you watch Star Trek, all the Vulcans, they always say, go with the logic, right? Live long and prosper, go with the logic as well. So if that one is logical, more logical than yours, then you have to concede, right? That is the intellectually honest thing to do. If you just say, no, I don't agree, then what you're doing, you are allowing your bias to override your logic. Yeah. So in which case, you're not being reasonable anymore. That's some of the ways that you can go about doing, being more critical. Yeah. Basically, the question is, how do I know that I am right? How do you check yourself? Check oneself. Yeah. How do you check yourself to make sure that you have done your very best to eliminate all possible flaws and biases and assumptions? Yeah. Okay, so that's about all that I wish to say to help you become a more critical thinker, and how you can more critically evaluate yourself. I'll just say this. Please be careful when reading the question, all right? Because looking at the groups that didn't do too well for forum or for the group project, a good number of students actually misunderstood the question. So they really went very off tangent. So please pay careful attention. Precision is the key. Yeah. This is also something that a lot of students were affected by in the forum or in the group project. There's a lot of lack of precision. Lack of nuance, lack of precision. Okay, so what do I mean by nuance? So for example, if I say something is a bit off, and then you tell me, oh, that means it's bad. That is lack of nuance. Lack of nuance means you see things totally in black or white. If something is a little bit not good, you immediately conclude that it is bad. Bad or good. No in between or whatever, right? So we need to look critically at the way we see things. How do we frame the issues? Just because there is something flawed in something does not mean that everything is wrong with it, right? You can have friends who have personal flaws. It does not make them your enemy, correct? Likewise, there are ideas that you don't necessarily agree with 100%. Of course, there are ideas that you completely reject, but there are some ideas where some things you don't agree with, some things you can agree with. So we need to be able to have that clarity to see what parts of it we can accept, what parts of it we cannot accept, right? And yeah, so that is nuance. What makes university education is the very fact that we always dig into the subtle nuances in issues. Yeah, so to somebody who is not trained in university level thinking in the arts and social sciences at university level, a lot of issues just look very simply black and white, right? But then with your sophisticated thinking, you are now able to see, oh, things are not so clear cut, right? Some issues are a little bit right, a little bit wrong, here and there and stuff like that. So we need to be able to have that precision and that nuance to see and draw the line on matters. Okay, so I hope that helps. This is why it's very important to write. When we write, we can re-evaluate the things that we have wrote and say, oh, did I really mean that? Yeah. So sometimes we, just as how it is hard to write a good algorithm because of the translational problem, it is also sometimes hard to write a good paper or anything, or just write a good forum post, because there is also a translational problem as well. And if we just verbal diarrhea, that bang on your keyboard until words come out 500 words and then you're happy, and you don't review, then the exercise of growing more critically as a person didn't work on you lah. So I do hope that this video has been helpful. So, and I wish you all the best. So 加油, okay? I believe you can do very well. So all the best for the rest of the semester. See you.